It was perhaps inevitable that some shadowy tech world engineer would design a do-it-yourself self-driving kit to install on regular automobiles. With the interest in AI and driverless vehicles growing exponentially, it was bound to happen. No one seemed to know anything about the seller, but it didn't really matter. Their product just showed up on the digital marketplace in the regular sales avenues and sold like hotcakes. Overnight, there were thousands of 5-star reviews and strikingly similar testimonials before anyone could have received their kit, but that didn't stop tens of millions of customers worldwide from blindly buying it for their cars. Once word got out, there was a frenzy to grab one, fearing overbearing government agencies might step in and ban the item as too new, experimental, or untested. The unfortunate truth was, any official oversight or regulation was a long way off and came too late. They were installed on approximately 25% of the automobiles across the planet by the end of the year. By then, the genie was out of the bottle. Too many had been purchased for the authorities to step in and try to undo that. The upside was their safety record for the short time they had been available was on par with the highly regulated large automakers' self-driving cars. It was hard to argue they were unsafe when the accident quotient for human-controlled vehicles was much greater. If anything, the safety statistics suggested the opposite. Self-driving cars were determined to be less likely to cause an accident than their manually driven counterparts. It was a glowing testimonial to the apparent reliability of the do-it-yourself self-driving kit. More and more individuals ordered it. Despite the instructions being fairly simple, auto shops were overrun with requests to install it into the vehicle's central processor, brake line, fuel line, and ignition systems. The staggering demand for this upgrade caused a backlog for all other types of mechanic work. Some didn't possess the technical aptitude. Others were simply too busy to fool with it. Even regularly scheduled automotive maintenance was neglected because of the frenzy to join the modern world of self-driving cars. No one wanted to be left behind. It was the next stage in our tech-obsessed culture, and virtually everyone sought to get on board. Once the number of kit adopters have reached a certain critical mass, however, the developer's hidden plan was finally set into motion. It had been a complex anti-technology operation to effect maximum chaos and population control from the very beginning. The resulting death and destruction was widespread, severe, and a horrific blight upon mankind. At random intervals, the regular self-driving module would be taken over and deliberately crash the vehicle to maximize casualties. Hapless passengers would watch in horror as their possessed vehicles plowed into crowded sidewalks and ran over victims, or drove directly into large fuel depots or electrical grids. Manual steering, brake, and door control overrides were completely locked out. Before the malignant programming could be dismantled worldwide, millions had been killed, and hundreds of millions more had been gravely injured or directly affected. Since customers willingly granted full access to the self-driving app on their smartphones, they were infected too. The programming formed an insidious network of obfuscation. It prevented emergency calls from being made to first responders, or even to warn others of the unfolding nightmare. Numerous jets and trains crashed because the pilots and engineers had their phones in their pockets. It even crossed over to laptops and tablets because most people had a digital synchronization between all of their electronic devices. It was a perfect technological storm. Months passed. The Internet and World Wide Web were fully shuttered or heavily regulated from country to country, in lieu of the hypnotized grip it previously held on the population. Experts far and wide sought to understand where it went wrong and how to fix it. For the first time in about 20 years, humanity relearned how to do simple things for themselves. The all-encompassing digital age was, at least temporarily, in the rearview mirror while the planet took a pause to recover, reassess, and heal. The best elements of our species came together to pick up the pieces. The organic human part. Children read paper books again. Adults held engaging conversations. People watched films with both eyes focused on the screen and actually listened to each other. Relationships grew, and those with different points of view started giving the other person respect and an open mind. The Internet and AI technology eventually returned to be reintegrated back into society, but with a purposeful consideration into how it affects our species as a whole. Through the trials of that terrible ordeal came a global wave of triumph.